page 13. Page 13, sure. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're going to begin our service on page 13 with the words of Psalm 96, Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash, sing unto God a new song.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So nice to see you. I'm Rabbi Susan Nanis, and I'm here with Cantor Lisa Peacott and our lovely musicians, Susan Rosenstein and Ava Nahas. And we're so happy to have you here. It's a beautiful Shabbat evening, and I invite you to enter the Shabbat with a feeling of community and connection, and to turn to someone near you and wish them Shabbat Shalom. What page? This is not the page. Oh, you're going to use? So I was reflecting that this is a time of holy days. I'm not going to say holidays, holy days, because we just celebrated Pesach, and then Yom HaShoah was this past Monday, and we're going to soon be celebrating Yom HaAtzmaut, and then Shavuot, a little time after that, this spring, and we're counting the Omer, which is the counting of the walking of the Israelites from the sea until they reach Sinai. And I reflected that if you celebrate Jewish holidays, you'll learn the history of the Jewish people simply by celebrating the holidays, because they each commemorate an important event in our history. But then I realized that our prayers, our tefillot, also teach us something about our history and our heritage that we could learn as we sing them. And so we're going to begin with Shalom Aleichem, which is a song about angels. Angels of Shabbat bringing us messages of love and support. And in the Torah, the first time we hear about angels is Abraham sitting in his tent, and these people come with messages of love that he's going to have a child, that angels are always around us. That is part of the Jewish tradition. So let's imagine that we are welcoming Shabbos angels right now into our midst as we turn to page 24 and sing Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Noachem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachi Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leShalom Malachi Hashalom Malachi Elyon. Melech Malachi Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Now I'm going to take you to Tzfat in the 16th century, where this city in the north of Israel was filled with Kabbalists. Everyone was a Kabbalist or studying Kabbalah. And they lived in this sort of mystical haze where they saw meaning in everything they did. And it's there in Tzfat that the Shabbat song Lecha Dodi was written, imagining Shabbat as a bride, a beautiful bride that we would go out to meet, and the Jewish people, the groom. And so the Kabbalists would dress in white like in a wedding, and they would go out to the fields and they would sing to the Shabbat bride as she entered their midst. And we're going to do that. We're going to invite her. We're going to be Kabbalists. Turn to page 20 and sing Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Bnei Shabbat, Kabbalat. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Bnei Shabbat, Kabbalat. Shamor v'zochor, b'ribur echad, yishvianu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shemo tiferet ve'litchilat. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Bnei Shabbat, Kabbalat. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Bnei Shabbat, Kabbalat. Verse 2. Likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki bekor haberacha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Try it. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Bnei Shabbat, Kabbalat. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Bnei Shabbat, Kabbalat. We're on verse 5.
we rise and face the door to invite in the Shabbat Queen.
בואי ושלום, את ארץ מעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Please be seated. So usually we light the Shabbat candles before the Chadodi, but because this is the Nickerson family and Rebecca Nickerson, I wanted the Shabbat Queen to be here when we light the candles, so I want to invite the family up now.
We're going to bring in that light of Shabbat 3 times.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
So in a moment, we're going to turn to page 28 and rise for the Baruch Hu. And the Baruch Hu is the beginning of the prayers that lead to the Shema. And we all know when we say the Shema, we say it really loudly, and then we say Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto, very, very soft. So this is another midrash/historic moment in Jewish history or in Jewish lore, that the second verse is said in a whisper, because when Moses went to the top of Mount Sinai, he heard the angels say this, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed, and he thought it was so beautiful. He stole it and brought it down to the Jewish people. So we say it in a whisper so the angels won't know that we have it. Please turn to page 28 and rise for the Baruch Hu.
ומבדיל בין יום ולילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבים.
continue, we continue on page 32 with Ahavat Olam.
ואהבתך התסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. We join together for the watchword of the Jewish people as we head towards that Mount Sinai journey, the words of Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael.
Please be seated.
But Rebecca will now lead us in the chanting of the Ve'ahavta. We are found on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
So now we're going to turn to page 40. For the Micha Mocha is probably one of our most historic moments in Judaism, where the Israelites crossed the sea and sang in gratitude. But I have to take a moment to point out that the woman who led the people was Miriam, Moses' sister, and I want to give a little homage to the power of sisterhood, because the Nickerson sisters, we've known them in so many different ways, Ella, Kayla, and Rebecca, and Miriam is a symbol of the ultimate sister. She'll follow you and then save your life. She'll give you advice. She'll support her mother. She'll advise her brother. And wherever she went, a miracle occurred. There was always water. We can think of it as literal water or just the water of wisdom and kindness and love. So the Micha Mocha tonight is an homage to sisters. Page 40.
Chamocha bailim continue on page 44 with the words of the Shamru as we're on this journey this evening of Shabbat, of our historical journey. We're head straight after Passover towards the next Jewish holiday of Shavuot, which is where we're told that the Jewish people received the 10 Commandments at Mount Sinai. And they all stood together and they accepted the weight of the responsibility of what it meant to follow those mitzvot, what it meant to build a holy society. And they said the words, Na'aseh v'nishma, we will do and then we will understand. And one of those mitzvot was this idea that we guard and we protect the idea of Shabbat, the time with our community, the time with our friends and our family, the time to just shut down and enjoy all of what life actually has to offer. So we join in those words of promise, words from Torah, the Shamru on page 44. Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat letorot ha'merit olam. I know you know it. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat letorot ha'merit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat letorot ha'merit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat letorot ha'merit olam. Ubayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat letorot ha'merit olam.
We turn to page 46, and in a moment we're going to rise for the Amidah, the standing prayer. It's called Ha-Tefillah, the prayer, because this was the first prayer written for a communal prayer for the Jewish people. It was written in Babylon, after the destruction of the first temple, is another historical connection to a prayer, where the temple was destroyed. The Jews were in Babylon, and how were they going to connect to God? They had always had sacrifices, but now there was no temple, there was no altar. And so some of these men, they were called the great men of the Great Assembly, remembered that hundreds of years ago, Hannah, the mother of Samuel the prophet, had spoken to God with words, with just words, and they said, we can speak to God through prayer, through words. And this was the first one they wrote. So we're going to rise now, turn to page 46, and this is meant to be personal, and we're going to do a silent Amidah this evening where we're going to connect to God with our own personal thoughts or with reading some of these prayers in our Siddur.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Once you've completed your Amidah, you may be seated. Well, we each had an opportunity with our silent Amidah to offer whatever was on our hearts this evening. The rabbis dictated that we always end our Amidah with a prayer for peace. No matter what is happening in our world, and trust me, it is a scary world out there. But as Jews, we never give up on the hope that there will be peace, on the hope that there will be love and compassion in this world. So we join together in the words of Shalom Rav. We ask God to bring abundant peace into our world, page 60. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael. Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam.
We are now going to take a moment. We've said blessings for ourselves, for each other, to say a blessing of healing for those in our lives who need some kind of healing blessing, physical healing, spiritual healing, emotional healing, mental healing. And if there's someone in your life who needs this blessing, I invite you to stand up now and say their name out loud so that we can include them in our prayer. We also include those in our community. Some of them may be watching on the live stream for blessings. Cynthia Allen, Bonnie Chiswick, Chaim David, Dahlia Bat Ferengi, Harvey Fine, Juliet Gottfried, Karina Wallen Harar, Harav Sarah Chana, Bat Moshe V'Mordechai V'Hindi, Cindy Jacobson, Chris Mintle, Michelle Novak, Stephen Richland, Quincy Rose, Bob David Rudnick, Hinda Sasa, Ansel Sloan, Shraga Stern, Deborah Wallen, Don Weiss, Phyllis Kramer Wolf, Manusher Yahubian. We turn to page 253 for Misha Berach.
It is my daughter's bar mitzvah, but I had to say some words. I couldn't just sit there the whole time. It's too easy to just sit there in the audience. So earlier this week, on Tuesday, I went to Sacramento to testify on AB 2664, and I knew I had 2 minutes to speak. What I didn't fully understand until I sat in that hearing room was just how much can hang on 2 minutes. There were 40 bills on the agenda for the Public Safety Committee that morning, and in the entire journey of a bill, from the Policy Committee to Appropriations to the full Assembly, then over to the Senate to run through the same pattern, then to the governor, there is actually only one moment where ordinary people get to speak. The Policy Committee hearing. 2 witnesses in favor, 2 witnesses opposed, 2 minutes each. Everything after that is closed to the public. That's a total of 8 minutes of human voice per bill. The chair of the committee, he kept time on his watch, and when he said your time was up, your time was up. So before I summarize what I talked about in my 2 minutes, I want to tell you about this woman who testified a few bills before I did. She spoke about her daughter, 8 years old, when she was sexually assaulted and murdered. And the mother now spends her entire life going to appeal court hearings. She had 2 minutes, and she used them to make the people there really understand her child. And I've sat with a lot of grief, but I was not prepared that morning to hear that testimony. And she didn't raise her voice. She just told her story. And through a lot of tears, she made that room go very quiet, and she changed the entire atmosphere. And I'm still thinking about her and her daughter, Maddie. And when my turn came, I told the committee that what happened on December 3rd at our campus in Koreatown, the interfaith gathering, the protesters, the smoke canisters, the megaphones, the parents who couldn't reach their children. And I told them that if that can happen at Wilshire Boulevard Temple, with all of our security resources, imagine what it means for smaller churches and synagogues and mosques and temples with far less than what we have. And that I was there to represent them too. And I told them that this bill, AB 2664, does not ban protest and it doesn't silence dissent, that it creates this small zone of safety around the entrances of houses of worship, a threshold where people can enter and leave without intimidation. And I said that in the Jewish tradition, we call this pikuach nefesh, the protection of life. And then my time was up. And what I didn't expect was that during the committee comments, because members of the committee can make comments and ask questions, one of the assembly members said out loud on the record that what he had heard from our testimony and my testimony had moved him, and that he had been hesitant to vote yes on this, but that he was now voting yes. And then the next day I also learned that there was another member who had planned to abstain, but changed to a yes vote, and that my testimony had been part of what moved his decision. And what I felt when I heard these things was actually not pride, but actually it was relief. It was relief that this system can still work. Relief that stories still matter. Relief that human beings in public life are still capable of being moved. This week we read Tazria Metzora, which is a parsha about boundaries, inside and outside, the camp and what lies beyond it. It's not the easiest portion to connect to our contemporary life, but reading it after Sacramento, I was struck by something, because the Israelite camp has an edge, it has a boundary, but that boundary is not a wall that keeps people out forever. The priest doesn't stay safely inside the camp. A priest is supposed to go outside, pass the boundary to examine a person who has been sent away, in this case because of skin diseases. And the boundary exists not to exclude those people, but to make healing and return possible. And a buffer zone also is not a wall. It's like a threshold. It says that on your way in and on your way out, you shouldn't feel threatened or degraded. And that the point of the boundary is not to keep the world out. The point of the boundary is to make what happens on the inside possible. And the same is true of that committee room that I was in. 2 witnesses, 2 minutes, rules of order, a chair with his eye on the watch, people with radically different views sitting next to one another, taking turns, a mother whose daughter was murdered, a civil liberties advocate, a rabbi, all speaking in the same hour without it collapsing into shouting. And for a couple hours, that room to me was like a sanctuary too. December 3rd is what happens when the buffer fails, and what I saw on Tuesday in Sacramento was what happens when a buffer holds. So the bill passed the committee on Tuesday, but it still has a long road ahead, as I mentioned, has to go through appropriations and the assembly floor and the Senate. And so that's 4 or 5 more votes to determine whether or not AB 2664 actually goes into law. And on Tuesday, I learned as I was sitting there that legislators actually do read letters from constituents. They reference them out loud throughout the morning. They would say, I have heard from people in my district on this bill. The letters count. They are read, and they are part of the calculation of these legislators. All of us have representatives. You can write to them. It takes 10 minutes. You don't have to be eloquent. All you need to do is be a person from their district and in your own words say, this is what matters to me and why. And we are a people who have survived for 3,500 years by telling our story. Every Passover we tell it. Every Shabbat we read through another chapter of that story. We are, before anything else, we really are a storytelling people. A mother told her story on Tuesday and a room went still. I told a story about December 3rd and 2 legislatures changed their mind. We have plenty of stories. We have more stories than we know what to do with. But what we are is we are short on people willing to tell them. So I went to Sacramento this week, and I told one story in 2 minutes, but there are hundreds of stories in this room right now. So the next one that changes something, it may be your story. Shabbat Shalom. With that, we are going to move into our concluding prayers, beginning with Aleinu. You can find it in the middle of page 282. I ask you to rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
be seated. We started a tradition a little while ago that before Mourner's Kaddish, before we read all the names, that we just give people an opportunity, at least a few people, to share a little bit about someone whom they're remembering specifically this Shabbat, loved one, someone either on the yard site list or someone just that you're thinking of this evening. So I want to open up the opportunity if there's anyone who wants to share a few words about someone they're remembering. This is, again, our tradition's way of honoring the memory of people we love is of course to share their names, but also sometimes to hear a little bit about their story. And so if anyone wants to share anything, yeah.
Thank you. I'm remembering Zalman Kapshin, my grandfather. He came from Ukraine with nothing to escape the Tsar's army and conscription of Jews that was for life. He was a kosher butcher. He didn't speak English well. He was loving, he was strong, and he believed in the future of his family. He would never imagine that within 3 generations, he would have the family he has, the leadership of the congregation that he has, and a sense of commitment to bettering the world that he himself embodied. So I want to honor him at his yard site today.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Can I say?
Yeah.
Oh, so, okay, I'll stand. My name's Laura Ullman Epstein, and I'm here for my mother's yard site, Sesha Ullman. She was a Holocaust survivor in Bergen-Belsen, and the most amazing woman I've ever met in my life. Inspires me every day of my life, and I think about her all the time. I have 3 beautiful daughters that miss her. My husband, I'm just here because of her, and my dad, who was also a survivor, but really here to honor my mom, Sesha.
I was here last Friday with my friend Jane Silver. We came many Fridays for the past few years, and we enjoyed coming and being together. She passed away last Monday. It was quite a shock. It was very sudden. And when I'm here, I feel that she's here with me.
I'm here to talk about Elliot Alper, family friend. My brother went to school with him since he was a teenager. He turned 70, my brother turned 70 last year. Before his birthday, his 71st birthday, which would be in a couple of months, he passed away in January. He called me on the phone. He said, Sherry, what's going on with the temple? When he was young man, he had worked at the temple camps as a cafeteria. And then he would take pictures. He always talked about wonderful, wonderful things that were there. Steve Brewer was there at the time. But when we got a call a couple of weeks ago and we found out he passed, we felt really, really, really sad. To be friends for over 55 years is really, really sad. And as I say, he loved the temple.
Anyone else? Yeah.
I'd like to remember my mom, Kathy Reardon. She passed away in February, and she was an educator and also an artist. And I was looking up at these stained glass windows, and my mom used to do stained glass work. And I took it up. I'm not nearly as good as she was, but I was looking at these and thinking of her and thinking of how much she would have loved to see these. So thank you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Rusty Weiss. We're here, my family, to remember my father, Gene Weiss, who passed away 3 years ago. He was the best father, husband, grandfather, brother. And we've all learned so much from him and been touched by him. And he was also a very active member of the temple. He grew up here at Wilshire Boulevard. He was in the youth choir. He was very active at Campus Kramer, where he was a counselor and assistant director. We heard the name Steve Brewer. He was with assistant director with Steve Brewer as the director, and this temple meant a lot to him, and he meant a lot to all of us. So I wanted to honor him tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for sharing those stories, and I know there are many more in the room. So we're going to turn now to page 294. And first I'll read the names of those whom we're remembering, and then we'll join together in Mourner's Kaddish. We're thinking of those who've passed away in the last month: Naomi Caspi, Jonathan Cole, Elliot Engel, Amnon Gilat, Helene Heskell, Jane Lewis, Noel Perry, Melvin Shrallo, Betty Sigaloff, Jane Silver, Rochelle Volman. The yardsites we're commemorating this week: Adrian Adelman, Helen Alvarez, Solomon Baker, Lillian Barbakoff, Martin Barbakoff, Ronald Barbanel, Abram Barkin, Jack Becker, Leslie Bell, Zach Bell, Judith Gabriela Benavisti, Muriel Berman, Rochelle Bernstein, Milton Bloomer, Gloria Jean Brody, Janet Burns, Benjamin Checkanow, Solomon Cohn, Diane Edelstein, Michael Edwards, Diana Francis Eisner, Abba Elkanin, Lillian Evans, Joanne Epstein Feldman, Robert Israel Feldman, Helen Feldsker, Ermin Finkelthal, Beatrice Fleischer, Arlene Fredgant, Norma Freeman, Karen Friedman, Rose Gaines, Eugene Galen, Ethel Gold, Lillian Goldberg, Corrine Goldsmith, Florence Goldstein, Florence Sesson Goodman, Lou Greenspoon, Rose Handelsman, Bernard Harris, Fred Helene, Milton Hollander, Barbara Ann Horwitz, Alberta Shine Kalish, Fayette Carpel, Jeffrey Kessler, Sarah Kleiman, Evelyn Cosberg, Suzanne Krakow, Brian Kravitz, Frank David Crevin, Andrea Laffer, Edith Leonard, Pamela Lever, Alice Levy, Betty Levy, Helen Levy, Shirley Levy, Clara Lichtenstein, Clara Lotz, William Lockheim, Samuel Miller, Sadie Morantz, Richard Mosk, Mirza Agashan Musiki, Dustin Mullins, Lillian Naiman, Charles Nevels, Rivka Knight, Melinda Notkin, Helen Orland, Bunny Perliter, Ben Pivo, Joyce Powell, Leora Ravid, Leonard Ryder, John Ressler, Terry Rogers, Ethel Rosenfield, Samuel Roth, Paul Ruxin, Davud Sadiq, Evelyn Schuckman, Norman Schulman, Rita Sabalski, David Siegel, Meyer Silverman, Richard Morton Sloan, Annette Starr, Herbert Stein, Jacob Strassman, Rose Tarshish, Susan Tuckman, Cecia Ullman, Sandy Ullman, Irving Walks, Pauline Walks, Louis Wallace, Henrietta Weisberg, Eugene Jerome Weiss, Stephanie White, Jacob Winras, Dorothy Wright, Ronald Ziff, and Edward Zimmer. If you are in the period of Shiva or Shloshim, 7 days, or in the month of mourning, if you could please rise. If you are in your first year of mourning, or you are here to commemorate a yahrzeit, if you could please rise at this time. And I ask our whole community to stand as we join together. Page 294. Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirute ve'amlich malchute, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivrach le'olam olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha brichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
We end our service with a prayer for peace. Feel free to put your arms around your loved ones, your neighbors. No one should stand alone as we end our Shabbat service together. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu.
shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. We remain standing for a quick kiddush and motzi led by.
And also want to invite all of you to join us for Oneg. We sponsored the Oneg after, so no leftovers allowed. So please join us after as well.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim kivanu bacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat lechayim. Yeah, don't. Okay, first the blessing. You guys know what to do. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. What did they pull? Oh, of course it's even. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom.
I'm doing okay, actually. I'm doing okay. I recently lost my mom, so it's been a little bit hard. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's a big change.
Yeah, huge.